to Browducation season 2. So excited. I'll stop saying that now after this episode. I'm just very excited for everything to come. As I said a couple episodes ago. Today, we are going to talk about, and my computer is off to the side, so if you see me glancing, you're just going to get a nice side profile, okay? Hopefully it's my good side. Anyways, we're going to be talking about building the brow business of your dreams. I talked about this in season 1, and it was such a hit. I figured, let's bring it back. We enjoyed it. Let's talk about it. Where to start? I talked about this last season, and I'm just going to reiterate because I feel like it's a very important thing to remember, and that is to try things. Just try things. Get out there and get your hands dirty. If you're new, I think it's okay. Remember that it's okay to flail around. Flail a little bit. Figure out what works best for you, and works for somebody else may not work for you. And I just feel like I would have not come to the realization that I wanted to be a brow artist had I not had the previous experiences I had before becoming a brow artist. So that's just something that that's a recommendation. That's what I have. So where to start is to try things. Secondly, where to start would be to not work for yourself. I know that that's not something everybody would agree with. I would have been like, you suck. If you're listening, I just flipped off the camera. But I would have been so upset as a new SD. So I get it. I get the irritation and the frustration with hearing that. But I also feel like I'm here to tell you the truth, and that's truthfully I would, if I could go back, I regret going off on my own right away. Was it a good lesson that I learned? Absolutely. But let's circle back and start over and do it all over again. I wouldn't do that. So, and everything that I learned at the job that I had where I learned threading and working with people, working with a lot of people in a day, working with a team, working with brands, etc. All of those lessons were super duper important. And even when I worked at a Massage Envy and I was going to beauty school and I was just working as a receptionist, and even that was super duper interesting, and I learned a ton. So even if it doesn't feel like it's directly related to the industry and what your goals are, you might learn something and it might nudge you in the proper direction. I really wanted to get into skincare when I first got into the beauty world, and I worked with a dermatologist. No, not a dermatologist. He was a plastic surgeon. Sorry, in medical setting, so med spa setting, and that's where I learned that I hated the med spa setting, and it was not for me. So I may have chased that dream, and I live in a smaller town, so there's only so many of them, and maybe I chased that dream for a few years and wasted my time not realizing that that was never going to be it for me. These are all important lessons that I learned, and I would love to go back and make changes, but also at the same time, I'm not going to negate the fact that they did teach me a lot and ultimately brought me here to where I am right now. So that's something I would really recommend. And then secondly, I would just find what fuels you up. So if you've gone through all of the things that I'm just talking about and we've finally reached brows, let's start there. So we're going to go forward. You've gone through the thick of it. You have figured out that brows are it for you. It's where your passion lies. Where do you go from there? So first and foremost, patience. I know it's annoying as fuck. I hate hearing it. I'm the most impatient person in the world, but it's so important. And it's a huge lesson to learn. And it's something that's annoying, and it's going to be repeatedly a lesson that you have to learn, but be okay being bad at something, because I hate being bad at stuff, but there's a little bit of magic that happens when you kind of release that inner perfectionist, at least temporarily, and let yourself be new and just learn. Be a sponge, learn all of the things, soak up all of the knowledge, and then the more you learn, the more maybe somebody's giving you advice and you can be like, I love hearing that side of things, but I don't agree because this isn't that. That's how you learn where your ethics lie and where you're aligned, what you're aligned with and different things like that. So you're gonna have to go through the motions and learn a lot of things and find what your opinions are. Develop your opinions, your style, your place, your niche in the beauty world. So you found brows, but what type of brow? Are you going to be somebody who focuses on the natural side? So like maybe less of a makeup look, keeping their shape more natural, loving the fluffy thing, maybe like you lean into the lamination world and you use eco-friendly products and like you just kind of lean into that like very natural, that element of our world. Or maybe you go the flip side and you want like very heavy makeup and filled in and snatched at all times, and maybe that leads you to permanent makeup or like honing in your hybrid tint like skills. So like figure out what you want. Even though you found brows, you can still apply the same lesson here and try a lot of different things. So maybe you start with a larger like amount of services until you find like your sweet spot. Like I tried permanent cosmetics for a little bit and I ultimately did not like it. It was not for me. And I'm grateful for that because now I have room for laminations and lash lifts and my tints and my threadings, you know, and that's like what I want. And that's my sweet spot. Those are the services I genuinely enjoy doing when I go into the salon and not having any anxiety over what's on my books. I'm not freaking out about anything. I'm not like, oh, I really wish that wasn't there. I'm not wasting my time. My time is like, you know, just being spent well, doing things I love, and like the cost of the service versus what I'm, you know, time spent makes sense to me. And that's, you know, what I need. So even though you found your niche, you can still find more of why it works for you, or like what do you need to trim of the fat, like what fat needs to be trimmed that's not working for you. Also focus on your skills. So whenever you've decided like what you want to focus really hard on it. That may mean taking a lot of courses. Maybe you need some continued education because the last thing you learned was in beauty school, or it was a lesson learned, you know, doing a treatment that you ultimately do not align with or don't want to offer. You know, it may mean different things, but maybe you need a refresher. Maybe it's time to circle back, or maybe you're trying to find, maybe you recently were like, I really want to get into tinting. I've never done it before. It's time to learn. So find somebody who does that. And I definitely need to do an episode on like what to look for in education because I think that's really important. And I think this time and this age that everyone and their mom is educating, so I think it's tricky. Like it's kind of hard to pick like where you should spend your money and where you shouldn't. And I think there's some clear red flags and some green flags, so I'll get into that on another episode. But like, you know, make sure to like find the right person that you want to train with. However, I will say that even though maybe the alt training like ultimately wasn't it for me, I don't like regret the training. So like even if I've had like a quote unquote bad training, I've never regretted it. I do want to make that known. So that being said, another thing is, and I see this, I just like was on Instagram and I saw somebody post like what's really good advice for, you know, anyone in the beauty industry. And it was really sweet because like regularly over and over again, everyone was recommending like treat your clients like gold, basically, like to umbrella up everything that they were saying. But they're like, you know, whether you're fully booked or not fully booked that day, like treat it, everyone is your first client or something like that. Like, you know, you're giving 110% to every single one of your clients. And whether they're new or previous return clients, like everybody gets the same treatment. And all these things I think circle back to just like really, really good client care. And I honestly, I feel like this applies to like, I honestly feel like this applies to anyone. It's in the service industry of any kind. Like if your income or like your business's revenue stream all relies on customers or client, you know, communications or whatever, client care, customer service, etc., like you have to take care of them. And for us, it's not like we are I don't know, sandwich shop. So I don't want volume. I want quality clients, right? These people are spending time with you. You're spending time with these people. And also they're spending their hard-earned money with you. So like these things need to be thought about, and you need to be taking really good care of these people who are giving their valuable time to you and also their valuable money, their income. This needs to be spent. They're looking for something and you need to deliver. Also, boundaries. These need to be set up early on and with like held up. even though it sounds so silly, it's a huge sneeze attack. So if I'm squinty from here on out in the episode, that's why. I swear, my idea of having allergies and then being like, let's do a podcast, even though I'm nasally and sneezy. Nasally and sneezy, my new catchphrase. Okay, we were talking about boundaries. Placing boundaries is extremely important for just like longevity in your business. Client communication is really big and key, and the best way to start that is by setting good boundaries. So holding boundaries, setting boundaries is very important. I think that I understand a level of leniency, but at the same time, this is a business. You guys are friendly, but it's still a client pro relationship, if that makes sense. So, very important for you and your business. And we want this for the long term, right? Okay, brow tools. Must haves. I did not set myself up with like having a list in front of me, so these are just going to be thrown out there. Now, I'm a threader. Y'all know I specialize in threading, so I'm going to say a spool of thread. I can't live without it, obviously. I love it so much. Education. I'm going to say your toolkit should be full of education. Otherwise, everything you place in it doesn't really hold any weight, right? You need to know what you're placing in there. Really, really good quality tools. I think that this is said often, but I think that I know I was like nervous to invest in it when I first got into the industry, so don't be nervous. This is me giving warning to a younger Esty or younger me. Don't think of it as a waste. It's not a waste. I think it's a super duper important thing and definitely 100% worth the investment. That being said, I mean tools of all kinds. So not even just like your tweezers and scissors, which are obviously very important. And I took too long to invest in like really good ones. However, I didn't like have cheap ones at the beginning, but I do remember being like, I can handle only having like, I think I had like 2 pairs. I had like 2 scissors, 2 tweezers, and that's all I started with. Now I have a plethora, and I'm seeing where people know.
Hey, it's Emily here from Browfox Beauty. I'm so proud to be sponsoring this episode of Browducation. If you are new here, let me tell you a little bit about Browfox Beauty. We are a professional brow line for the esthetician. We specialize in easy retail for the busy esthetician. We also have a line of better back bar basics so you can be super confident putting pre and post wax solution and massage oil onto your client's skin, giving them the best glow and the best brows yet. You can find more information at browfoxbeauty.com or on social media at browfoxbeauty.
And I'm seeing where people know than I was then, so maybe I was being pragmatic, but I do feel like they're worth the investment, making sure that you have enough to be like comfortable with your day of work, but also like trying different things, like even as silly and as little as like different disposables. Like in all of my years of doing brows, I definitely have like favorite micro spoolies and silicone spoolies, silicone spatulas. I don't know why I'm saying silicone so much, but like that's what's coming to mind. But like these things ultimately end up mattering, and like utilizing tools in your studio space that help make your job easier and you like more efficient is worth the investment and should be taken seriously. Quality products. Do not skimp, I don't know. Whatever. Don't cut corners here. Quality products is huge, and not like only buying the one thing or like keeping it to a minimum. Like get all of the things that you think that you need. Don't go overboard, of course. Like don't waste your money. That's crazy and not the smartest business move. But like make sure you have everything that you actually need and you're not like cutting corners or being like, oh, I'll get that later. Like you want to build your clientele, and the people that trust you and come to you when you're new shouldn't get shafted just because you're new. You know what I mean? So like their day one experience should be, your same effort that you're putting in day 1, day 100. Obviously, as you get better, like you'll hone your skill and fine tune and tweak and whatever, but like you should be putting in 110 right off the bat. And that means investing in quality products and knowing your shit. That means investing in proper education and training yourself and practicing. I think we push a lot on like educating yourself, but I think I want to make sure that it's being like taken in the proper way. So I don't just mean like spending thousands of dollars on training. I mean like putting yourself through it, like putting your nose in the book and like reading books that help lift you and elevate you, but also like read the textbooks that the brands give you and like read them thoroughly and ask questions and get curious and find different resources and, you know, be a self-learner and practice, practice, practice. However you need to learn, however you need to practice, like get it done. Don't waste your time and only put in the energy when you're at like an expensive training. That's a good way to like not learn anything, or at the minimum hold yourself back a lot, because people can sell you till the live long day. I have no idea why that came to mind, but they can sell over and over and over again to you. But at the end of the day, if you choose not to apply anything, you're not going to get anywhere. So keep that in mind. Everything that you've been given is only going to go as far as you're willing to take it. So, like, you have to apply it. You have to, like, put these things to work, and you have to listen and take constructive criticism, bite the ego, and, you know, get your hands dirty. And it's kind of a pain in the ass. Like, not everyone enjoys it, but like eventually you get to the other side, and the other side's pretty fucking cool. So if that's where you want to go, you gotta, you know, keep your head down and get to work. And I don't mean that disrespectfully in any way, shape, or form. I just feel like, you know, it's on you at the end of the day. And like, you're gonna go as far as you allow yourself to go. So, you know, it shows. If you're new to the beauty world and brows, welcome. Congratulations. I'm stoked you're here, and I'm honored that you listen to my podcast. I think be a sponge. I think that's my biggest advice for anyone new, is just to like keep learning and learn anything and everything and try a lot of stuff, and like don't say no to things, and like experience all the things. If I had to go back, like I wish that I would have just experienced more. And I still to this day am like, wow, like don't miss that trade show, don't miss that training, like just do it. Don't miss that opportunity. Shoot your shot, put yourself out there, like send the DM, you know, reach out, comment, like show your face, get to know people, network, live in the community like really thoroughly. It's all worth it. People are scary, but a lot of the times, like the people that I thought who have like hundreds of thousands of followers or whatever, like they're so much nicer than you really realize, and they're people too. And don't be nervous or afraid. We're all a little awkward. We're all a little nervous. We're all a little shy. You know, I'm sure there's mean people out there, but like I think it's rare, and I think you'll find your people, and just put yourself out there. And also my DMs are always open, and I'm here to chat. So if you can't find anyone else to talk to, I will talk to you. What to do when it's slow? This is a question I get asked all the time, and I figured we're talking about building a brow business of your dreams. So what happens when you've built it and you're still in the thick of it and it's slow and you're freaking out because you're not making X amount of money, or like, what am I going to do with all this extra time? You're just sitting around and you have your overhead owed, and, you know, whatever other millions of things your anxiety is telling you. And I think breathe first and foremost. This too shall pass, and growth takes time, and the best kinds of things, you know, are grown over time. So time to educate yourself, read up on something, learn something new, deep clean the studio, organize, do a research on something, binge this podcast. No, just kidding. Or do. No, you know, utilize this time to make content. Maybe take a model or like a friend from the salon you're working at, or a neighbor or something like that, and film some silly content. Go to a coffee shop and leave some business cards. Just like put yourself out there and like spend the extra time, like utilize it. Try to enjoy it a little bit, because at some point very soon you'll be very busy and you'll wish that you had a little more time for things, and this is the time to do it. So take the time to get educated on something. There's tons of free education out there. Even if you're not in a place where you can invest, there's a lot of free education. I swear to you. We have industry magazines, we have podcasts, we have Instagram, we've got social media, YouTube, all of the things. You can learn something, I promise. There's so much to learn and so little time. So take this time to do that. Practice, you know, grow your social media following. That's always going to be important. You know, take lots of photos and videos, because you're going to want to remember when you were slow, when you're super busy, and like look back with nostalgia. That's my biggest recommendation. I know it's hard, but it'll pass, and you're always going to experience these ebbs and flows to a different degree, of course, but it's going to ebb and flow, and that's just natural. Get used to it and try to view it in a more positive note instead of negative, and, you know, take this time to have a break, or to see at what's working, what's not working, learn something new, etc. It'll pass, I promise. I feel like That was good. I want to do a Q&A, so I'm gonna post on social media and try to get some feedback from some newer artists. Maybe I'll ask a beauty school and things like that too. But what are you struggling with in your brow business? If you've just niche down or you're new to the beauty world, whatever it is, reach out to me. I want to answer more questions and talk about this again. I want to know the burning questions because I want to help. I want you to have the brow business of your dreams. Okay, the new thing this season that I'm doing is I'm going to be talking about a ingredient every episode. So I'm super duper excited to start doing that, and I think it's a really fun form of continued education, right? I get to learn something new or something deeper. You get to learn something new or something deeper. So today's ingredient is hydrolyzed silk or silk protein. So just for example, why I thought of this ingredient was I wanted to know more about it. And where I saw it was in Borboletta's lash lift and brow lamination system. I hope I'm getting that correct. I've used it before. It's actually where my lash lift education journey started. I think that their line is so elegant and beautiful, and I've always heard really good things from lash artists. So I dove in, and that was the first time that I heard about this particular ingredient. So let's get into it. What is it? I'm going to be reading off. I want to make sure that I'm giving you guys accurate information. This first little spiel is from Google. Google like collects from a few different sources and then puts kind of like a thing on their homepage. So that's where this came from. I don't have the direct sources. This is what Google itself gathered from me. Below that, I'm going to dive into what I learned from Milady's dictionary, which is where I get most of my ingredient knowledge from. I'll tag it in the show notes, but I just wanted to give you like the full picture. That's why I wanted to dive in this way. Okay, so first we'll hear from Google. Google puts hydrolyzed silk as a non-viscous liquid that comes from breaking down silk protein from silkworm cocoons. It is a humectant that's often used in personal care products, especially for skin and hair. Hydrolyzed silk has many benefits, including moisturizing. Boom, boom. That's what I think it was advertised for in the lash lift system as well. So, silk protein can absorb up to 50 times its weight in water. Cool. It can also help skin retain moisture and plump the skin. It also helps with skin elasticity. So it has a fibrous structure and is similar to collagen fibers in the skin. So it can help increase skin elasticity and speed up the skin metabolism. It can also help prevent wrinkles and improve smoothness. I don't know if there's any backing to that claim, but that is what Google is spitting out. This was interesting given the fact that I saw it in a lash lift system, related to the hair. It says it's good for hair health. It has an amino acid ingredient that can strengthen hair. It adds elasticity, like we mentioned. It helps to repair damage, prevent breakage, improve shine, reduce dryness, and make hair less frizzy. It can also create a protective barrier around the hair strands. I thought that was really interesting because if this is true, again, this is from Google, so not maybe I feel like, who knows? It could be a very, reputable source, but just give it with a grain of salt. But I do think that's really interesting because creating a protective barrier, repairing damage, and preventing breakage is super important when you're dealing with things like lamination and lash lifts. So I really like that benefit. It also says that other benefits are that it can provide luster and shine and make hair more manageable and give it body. Again, a great benefit. So what did Milady's dictionary give us information? I looked up silk protein and it said it is known to protect the skin from dehydration, give it a smooth texture, essentially lack thereof of texture. Also, it protects skin from dehydration. It mentioned that it has a small molecular size and therefore it penetrates the skin and hair easily. So its benefits could actually be shown and, seen on a deeper level. As far as I believe the corneum is what it said in the dictionary. Really cool. I love the benefit of, anti-breakage, helping with the barrier, and plumpness when we're dealing with hair. So, hydrolyzed silk. What'd you know? Thank you so much for being here. Again, listening to Browducation and learning a little bit with me and taking my advice, I guess, or my tips, listening to them at least. I never know how to end these things, but I appreciate you being here. I will see you next week. Share this with a brow friend, like, follow, leave us a review. I love seeing that little thing and hearing what you guys think. I'll catch you next week with a guest episode, and yeah, looking forward to it. Have a wonderful rest of your Thursday.